Taihio walked slowly down the long hallway of Galactic Academy Station Harmony. His shoes made soft sounds on the metal floor. Other students moved away from him as he passed. Some whispered to each other in languages he did not know. Others just stared. He was used to this by now. Being the only human in most of his classes meant he got these looks every day. The other students came from 12 different worlds. They had seen pictures of Earth in their books. They knew it was called a Deathworld, a place so dangerous that most aliens could not live there. Taihio reached the door to his advanced xenobiology class. He took a deep breath and walked inside. The room became quiet. 20 pairs of alien eyes turned to look at him. Some eyes were big and round. Others were small and sharp. A few students had more than 2 eyes. "Good morning, Taihio," said Professor Velek from the front of the room. The professor was a Thraxian. His skin looked like it was made of green crystal. Light passed through parts of his body. "Please take your seat." Taihio nodded and walked to his desk. His study partner, Jiwan, was already there. She was the only other human in the class. She smiled at him as he sat down. "They look scared today," Jiwan whispered to him. "More than usual," Taihio agreed quietly. Professor Velek waited for all students to sit down. Then he spoke in his calm voice. "Today we will have a special lesson. We will study predator and prey relationships using live animals." A student named Crix made a clicking sound. Crix was a Vorthik, an insect-like alien with 4 arms and shiny black skin. "Professor, will this be safe?" "Of course," Professor Velek said. "Each of you will bring a predator from your home world. We will observe how they hunt. We will learn about different hunting methods." A bird-like student named Alara raised her hand. Her feathers were bright blue and yellow. "What size predators should we bring?" "Small ones only," the professor said. "Nothing larger than this desk. We want to learn, not create danger." The students began to talk to each other. Taihio heard them making plans about which animals to bring. Some sounded excited. Others seemed worried. "I can bring a razormite," Crix said to the student next to him. "They are very good hunters." "My world has sky hunters," Ilara said. "They catch prey in the air." Professor Velek raised his hand for quiet. "Remember, you must bring your predator next week. Make sure it is safely contained. We will provide food animals for the hunting demonstration." Then the professor looked at Taihio and Jiwan. "I am very interested to see what predators the humans will bring." The room became quiet again. All the alien students turned to stare at the 2 humans. Taihio felt his face get warm. He did not like being the center of attention. "Earth is a Class 12 death world," Professor Velek continued. "I have read that it has some of the most dangerous predators in the galaxy." A student with purple skin and tentacles for arms made a nervous sound. "Are you sure it is safe, Professor?" "The humans know their own world best," Professor Velek said. "I trust they will bring something appropriate for our classroom." After class ended, the alien students gathered in small groups. They talked in quiet voices, but Taihio could hear some of what they said. "What do you think they will bring?" asked a student with gray fur. "Something terrible," another student answered. "Humans come from the worst death world known." "I heard Earth has predators that hunt in packs," Crix said, "and some that are bigger than starships." "That cannot be true," Ilara said, but her voice sounded unsure. Taihio and Jiwan walked together toward their next class. Other students moved out of their way in the hallway. "Did you hear what they were saying?" Jiwan asked. "Yes," Taihio said. "They think we are going to bring something scary. Are we?" Jiwan smiled. Taihio thought about this. "I was planning to bring Bomi." Jiwan laughed. "Your cat? That will surprise them." "Maybe that is good," Taihio said. They seemed to expect something terrible. Professor Velek looked excited, Jiwon said. I think he really wants to see an Earth predator. Bomi is a predator, Taihio said. Just not the kind they are thinking about. Over the next few days, the other students talked more and more about the coming lesson. Taihio heard them making bets about what the humans would bring. I bet it has big teeth, one student said. Or claws like knives, said another. Maybe it can spit poison, suggested a third. Some students seemed excited. Others looked worried. A few asked their friends if they could skip class that day. Crix came to talk to Taihio during lunch. My friend, he said in his clicking voice, what predator will you bring? You will see, Taihio said simply. Is it very dangerous? Crix asked. All predators are dangerous in their own way, Taihio answered. This made Crix click faster, a sign he was nervous. Ilara also tried to ask questions. Taihio, I have been reading about Earth animals. Is it true that some hunt humans? Some do, Taihio said. And humans hunt them back? She asked. Sometimes, Taihio said. Ilara's feathers stood up. This meant she was scared. The night before the lesson, Taihio sat in his small room. Bomi was sleeping on his bed. She was a small orange and white cat. She had been with his family since he was young. When he came to study at the academy, she came with him. Tomorrow you meet my classmates, he told her. She opened one green eye and looked at him. Then she went back to sleep. Taihio smiled. His classmates were expecting something from their worst nightmares. Instead, they would meet a house cat who liked to sleep in sunny spots and play with toy balls. But Taihio knew something his classmates did not know yet. He knew that the most dangerous predators were not always the biggest or the scariest looking. Sometimes they were the ones that looked harmless. The next morning, Taihio carried a small glass case to class. Inside, Bomi sat calmly. She watched the world go by through the clear walls. Students in the hallway tried to look into the case, but Taihio had covered it with a cloth. Is that it? Asked a student with green scales. What is in there? Asked another. Taihio just smiled and kept walking. In the classroom, Professor Velek was setting up equipment. Other students were arriving with their own cases and containers. Everyone looked nervous and excited. Today will be a day to remember, Professor Velek announced. Taihio placed his covered case on his desk. Around him, his classmates whispered and pointed. Soon, everyone would see what Earth's predators were really like. Professor Velek stood at the front of the classroom. His crystal skin caught the light from above. Today we will see predators from many different worlds. Each of you will show your animal and explain how it hunts. The students sat quietly at their desks. Each had a container or cage in front of them. Some containers made soft sounds. Others were completely silent. Everyone looked nervous and excited. We will start with Crix, Professor Velek said. Crix stood up slowly. His forearms moved as he uncovered his container. Inside was something that looked like a large spider, but with metal-colored skin that reflected light. This is a razor mite from my home world, Crix said. His voice made clicking sounds as he talked. It hunts in groups. See the sharp edges on its legs? They can cut through most materials. The razor mite moved quickly around its container. Its 8 legs made tiny scratching sounds on the glass. When Professor Velek put a small insect into the container, the razor mite caught it in less than a second. Very good, Professor Velek said. Excellent pack hunting adaptation. Several students made impressed sounds. The razor mite was fast and deadly looking. Next was Ilara. She stood and spread her colorful wings slightly. I brought a sky hunter. She opened her cage carefully. A small creature flew out. It looked like a tiny dragon with bright green scales. It had 4 wings that moved so fast they made a humming sound. Sky hunters live in the floating islands of my world, Ilara explained. They catch prey while flying. Watch. Professor Velek released a small flying insect into the room. The sky hunter saw it immediately. It flew in a perfect curve and caught the insect in its tiny claws. Then it returned to Ilara's hand. Amazing flight control, Professor Velek said. Perfect for three-dimensional hunting. More students showed their predators. There was a swimming creature that shot water to stun its prey. Another looked like a small wolf, but with 6 legs. Each predator was different, but they all had one thing in common. They looked dangerous as each student presented. More eyes turned toward Taihio. His container was still covered with cloth. Students whispered to each other. What do you think? Is in there? Asked a student with purple tentacles. Something terrible, answered another. Remember, humans come from a death world. Maybe it has acid for blood, suggested a third student. The whispers got louder. Some students moved their chairs back a little. They wanted to be farther from the human's container. Finally, Professor Velek called Taihio's name. Now we will see what Earth has created. The room became completely quiet. 20 alien faces stared at Taihio. He could feel their fear and excitement. Some students held their breath. Taihio stood up slowly. He put his hand on the cloth, covering his container. This is a common predator from Earth, he said calmly. He pulled away the cloth. Inside the clear container sat a small orange and white cat. Omi was cleaning her paw with her pink tongue. She looked up at all the staring faces and made a soft meow sound. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Professor Velek leaned forward to look closer. His instruments beeped as they scanned the small animal. I do not understand, he said slowly. My scanners show this creature as a harmless domestic companion. Cricks made rapid clicking sounds, the way Vortex laugh. The Deathworlder brought a pet? Some students began to whisper again. This time they sounded confused instead of scared. It is so small, said Ilara. Her head tilted to one side, the way birds do when they are puzzled. And fluffy, added a student with gray fur. Taihio opened the container. Omi stepped out onto the desk. She stretched, showing her small white paws. Then she sat down and began cleaning her other paw. This is Bomi, Taihio said. She is a house cat. Most humans keep one or more of these as companions. Companions? Professor Velek asked. But this is supposed to be a predator. She is a predator, Taihio said simply. The students looked at each other. The small cat did not look like any predator they had ever seen. She looked soft and gentle. Her eyes were green and calm. When she moved, she made no sound at all. How does it hunt? Asked a student. It has no visible weapons. Taihio smiled. A little. Cats are very successful hunters. They catch many different types of prey. Professor Velek looked at his instruments again. But my scanners show no dangerous features. No poison, no sharp teeth, no special strength. Maybe the scanners are wrong, Jiwan said quietly. She was smiling as she watched Bomi. Bomi finished cleaning her paws. She looked around the room at all the alien faces staring at her. She seemed completely unafraid. Her tail moved slowly back and forth. She does not look dangerous, said Crix. Are you sure this is really a predator? Asked Ilara. Some students began to relax. They had been expecting something terrible, a creature with big teeth and claws, or maybe something that could spit acid. Instead, they saw what looked like a living toy. Perhaps, said Professor Velek, we should continue with the lesson. We will observe all the predators hunting live prey. He began setting up clear containers for each predator. We will put each hunting animal in a larger space with appropriate prey. This will let us see their hunting methods. The students became excited again. This was the part of the lesson they had been waiting for. They would finally see these predators in action. "Are you sure about your cat?" Professor Velek asked Taihio quietly. "Yes," Taihio said, "but you might want to use different prey for her." "What does she hunt?" the professor asked. "Many things?" Taihio said, "Small mammals, birds, insects, fish." "Cats are not picky." Professor Velek looked surprised. "Fish? But this is a land animal." "Cats can hunt in water too," Taihio explained. This made the professor even more confused. His instruments showed the cat as harmless, but the human was claiming it could hunt in multiple environments. While Professor Velek prepared the hunting spaces, the students talked among themselves. Many seemed disappointed. "I thought humans would bring something scary," one student said. "Maybe they are not as dangerous as the stories say," said another. "Look at it," said Crix. "It is just sitting there cleaning itself." Bomi had indeed gone back to grooming. She licked her orange fur and made soft purring sounds. She looked like the most peaceful creature in the room, but Chiwan was still smiling. She knew something the other students did not know yet. She had seen cats hunt before. Ready for the demonstrations? Professor Velek announced the real lesson was about to begin. Soon, everyone would understand what made Earth's predators so special. It was not always about looking dangerous. Sometimes, the most successful hunters were the ones that seemed harmless. Ho looked at Bomi. She looked back at him with her calm green eyes. In a few minutes, she would show these alien students why cats were some of Earth's most efficient predators. The other students had no idea what they were about to see. Professor Velek finished setting up the hunting areas. Each was a clear box about the size of a small room. Inside each box was a different environment. Some had rocks and plants, others had water, and some had climbing structures. "We will test each predator one at a time," Professor Velek announced. "I will add prey animals, and we will observe the hunting behavior." The first test was Crix's razor mite. Professor Velek moved the metal-colored spider-like creature into its testing box. Then he added several small insects. The razor mite moved fast. Its sharp legs cut through the air as it chased the insects. Within minutes, it had caught all of them. The alien students made impressed sounds. "Excellent speed and precision," Professor Velek noted. "The razor mite is clearly built for hunting small, fast prey." Next was Ilera's sky hunter. The tiny dragon-like creature flew around its box in perfect circles. When Professor Velek added flying prey, the sky hunter caught them easily in the air. "Perfect adaptation for aerial hunting," the professor said. "Very efficient in its environment." Each alien predator performed well. They were all good at hunting specific types of prey in specific ways. The swimming predator caught fish. The wolf-like creature hunted small ground animals. Every predator was successful in its own special way. Finally, it was Bomi's turn. Taihio carefully moved his cat into the largest testing box. This box had multiple environments: some dry ground, a small pool of water, climbing structures, and different types of plants. Bomi looked around calmly and sat down in the center. "What prey should I add?" Professor Velek asked. "Try several different types," Taihio suggested. "Cats are adaptable." Professor Velek looked confused but agreed. He added small ground animals, flying insects, tiny fish in the water section, and even some climbing creatures on the tall structures. The students leaned forward to watch. They expected the small cat to pick one type of prey and focus on it, just like all the other predators had done. Omi did something different. First, she sat very still and watched everything. Her head turned slowly as she observed each type of prey animal. Her ears moved to catch small sounds. Her nose twitched as she smelled the air. "She is just sitting there," said Crix. Why is she not hunting? Wait, said G1 quietly. Bomis. Eyes locked onto a small bird-like creature on the ground. She lowered her body until her belly almost touched the floor. Her tail stopped moving. She became completely still. Then she moved. The students gasped. The cat that had seemed so calm and gentle was suddenly a focused hunting machine. She crept forward without making any sound. Her paws touched the ground so softly that not even Professor Valak's sensitive instruments detected the sound. When she was close enough, Bomi pounced. She jumped through the air in a perfect arc and caught the bird creature in her paws. It was over in seconds. Impressive, said Professor Valak, but most predators can catch ground prey. Bomi was not finished. Still holding her first catch, she noticed flying insects above her head. She sat back on her powerful back legs and jumped straight up. Her front paws shot out and grabbed an insect from the air. She landed softly and now had two types of prey. The students stared in amazement. They had never seen a ground predator catch flying prey like that, but Bomi was still not done. She moved toward the water section of the box. The alien students expected her to stop there. After all, she was a land animal. Instead, Bomi sat beside the water and watched the small fish swimming below the surface. Her paw moved faster than the eye could follow. It went into the water and came out with a fish. She did this 3 more times, catching a fish with each. Strike. How is this possible? Asked Ilara. Her feathers were standing up in shock. It caught prey in the air and in the water? Professor Valak checked his instruments. The readings are incredible. This creature is showing hunting success in multiple environments. Bomi moved to the climbing structures. Small creatures were hiding in the high places, thinking they were safe. The cat looked up, judged the distance, and began to climb. Her claws gripped the surfaces perfectly. She moved up the structures like she had been built for climbing. At the top, she caught 2 more prey animals. In less than 10 minutes, Bomi had successfully hunted ground animals, flying insects, fish, and climbing creatures. She had used different hunting methods for each type of prey. She had adapted her behavior based on what she was hunting. The classroom was completely silent. This is impossible, whispered a student with purple skin. No single predator can hunt in so many different ways. The water hunting especially, said Ilara. My sky hunter cannot do that. It can only hunt in the air. Crix was making rapid clicking sounds. My razormite is fast, but only on solid ground. It cannot jump or climb or swim. Professor Valak was staring at his instruments. I am reading. Hunting adaptations I have never seen before. This creature has succeeded in every environment we provided. Omi finished her demonstration by doing something that shocked everyone even more. She began to play. She picked up one of the small objects in the box and batted it around with her paws. She jumped and rolled and chased her own tail. She looked like she was having fun. Is she playing with her prey? Asked a student. Cats often play, Taihio explained. It helps them practice hunting skills. Practice? Professor Valak asked. You mean this hunting demonstration was not even her full ability? She was just showing you basic hunting, Taihio said. Cats practice all the time to stay sharp. The students looked at each other with new understanding. This small, fluffy creature that looked so harmless was actually a highly skilled predator. She could hunt anything, anywhere, in any way needed. I need to ask, said Professor Valak slowly. How common are these cats on Earth? Very common, Taihio answered. Most human families have at least one. Some have several. And they live in human homes? Asked Crix. Yes, they are our companions. The students tried to understand this. The most adaptable predator they had ever seen lived in human houses as a pet. What do they hunt in human homes? Asked Ilara nervously. Usually nothing, Taihio said. We feed them. But sometimes they catch mice or insects that get inside. Mice? Professor Velik asked. Small mammals that sometimes live in human buildings, Jiwan explained. The alien students were beginning to realize something important. If humans kept these amazing predators as pets, what did that say about humans themselves? Omi finished playing and walked back to Taihio. She rubbed against his hand and purred softly. She looked completely innocent again. But everyone in the room now knew the truth. They had just seen one of Earth's harmless pets demonstrate hunting. Skills that surpassed every predator from their worlds. The real questions were just beginning. Professor Velik put down his instruments. His crystal skin was glowing brighter than usual, a sign he was very excited. Taihio, I must ask you more questions about Earth predators. The other students gathered around. They all wanted to hear the answers. After watching Bomi hunt, they realized they knew nothing about Earth's animals. Please tell us, Professor Velik continued. Where do cats fit in Earth's predator hierarchy? Taihio thought for a moment. Cats are considered small. Predators on Earth. Small? Crix clicked rapidly. That creature just out-hunted every predator in this room. Yes, but compared to Earth's large predators, cats are small, Taihio explained. Ilara's feathers ruffled nervously. What are the large predators like? Well, Taihio said, there are big cats that are much larger than Bomi. Some weigh as much as 3 or 4 humans. There are also bears, which are even heavier, and wolves, which hunt in packs. The students looked at each other with wide eyes. You mentioned wolves before, Professor Velik said. Tell us about them. Wolves are pack hunters, Taihio said. They work together to catch prey much larger than themselves. They can bring down animals 10 times their size by cooperating. And humans live near these creatures? Asked a student with tentacles. Sometimes, Taihio nodded. But here is something interesting. Humans made friends with wolves long ago. We call them dogs now. The room became very quiet. You made friends. With pack predators? Ilara whispered. Yes, dogs live with humans just like cats do. Some are as large as wolves. Others are smaller. Professor Velik was writing notes very fast. So humans keep multiple types of predators as companions? Many types, Jiwan added. Some humans keep birds that can hunt, or reptiles, or even fish that eat other fish. Crix made a sound like choking. Fish that hunt other fish? Sharks, Taihio said simply. Humans keep sharks? Several students asked at once. Some do, in large tanks with lots of water. Professor Velik stopped writing. I think I need to understand something. If humans keep all these predators as pets, what hunts humans? Taihio was quiet for a moment. Some things do hunt humans. Large bears sometimes. Big cats in some places. Sharks in the ocean. Crocodiles near water. And what do humans do when these predators hunt them? Professor Velik asked. We hunt them back, Taihio said. The silence in the room was complete. Humans hunt the predators. That hunt humans? Ilara asked slowly. When we need to, Taihio nodded. But usually we just avoid each other. How do humans hunt such dangerous predators? Asked Crix. We use tools, Taihio explained. And we work together, like wolves do. Tools? Professor Velik asked. Jiwan reached into her bag and pulled out a small device. This is a simple tool. It makes things easier. She showed them a small knife used for opening packages. The alien students stared at it. Humans make tools to help with everything, Jiwan continued, including hunting. What kind of hunting tools? Professor Velik asked, though he looked like he was not sure he wanted to know. Spears, bows, traps, Taihio listed. Things that let us hunt from far away, or catch animals much bigger than we are. So humans are tool-using pack predators? Professor Velik said slowly. I guess you could say that, Taihio agreed. Crix was clicking very fast now. Wait, if humans hunt the predators that hunt humans, what does that make humans? The room was quiet as everyone thought about this. Apex predators, Jiwan said quietly. What does that mean? Asked Ilara. It means nothing hunts humans regularly, Taihio explained. Humans are at the top of the food chain on Earth. Professor Velik sat down heavily. You are telling me that humans are the most successful predators on your world? Well, yes, Taihio said, but we do not hunt everything. We also grow our own food. You grow food and hunt? Asked a student. Humans do both, Jiwan explained. We learn to make food grow where we want it, but we also learn to hunt when we need to. Professor Velik looked at his notes. Let me understand this. Humans are pack hunting, tool using, apex predators. You keep other predators as companions. You can grow your own food or hunt for it. And you do all this on a Class 12 Deathworld. That sounds right, Taihio said. The students stared at the two humans with new eyes. They were not just strange aliens from a dangerous world. They were the most successful predators that world had ever created. How did this happen? Professor Velik asked. How did humans become such powerful predators? We were not always like this, Taihio explained. Long ago, humans were prey animals. Many things hunted us. What changed? Asked Ilara. We learned to think better, Jiwan said. We learned to work together. We learned to make tools. We learned to adapt. Adapt? Professor Velik asked. Change to fit new situations, Taihio explained. Humans are very good at adapting. We can live in almost any environment on Earth. Like your cat, Crix said suddenly. She adapted to hunt in different ways. Exactly, Taihio smiled. Cats learn to be adaptable predators. Humans learn the same thing, but we also learn to use tools and work in groups. Professor Velik was writing again. This explains so much about human behavior. Your curiosity, your problem-solving, your ability to work with other species. Predator traits, Jiwan agreed, but also traits that helped us survive and grow. Are all humans like this? Asked a student. All humans have these abilities, Taihio said. But most of us do not need to hunt anymore. We have peaceful lives now. But you could hunt if you needed to? Ilara asked. If we had to, Taihio nodded. The students looked around the room. They were sitting with two apex predators from the most dangerous world they knew. But these predators were calm and friendly. They were teachers and students, just like everyone else. I have one more question, Professor Velik said. If humans are such successful predators, why did you come to the academy? Why do you want to learn about other species? Taihio thought about this. Because we learned that working together is better than fighting. We learned that understanding others makes everyone stronger. Even predators? Asked Crix. Especially predators, Jiwan said. The best predators are smart. Smart predators know when to hunt and when to make friends. Professor Velik put down his writing tool. Class, I think we have learned something very important today. We have learned that the most dangerous predators are not always the ones that look scary. Sometimes they are the ones that choose to be friendly. The students nodded. They looked at Taihio and Jiwan with respect instead of fear. Bomi meowed softly from her container. Everyone turned to look at the small cat who had started this amazing lesson. Thank you, Bomi, Professor Velik said. You have taught us all something today. Professor Velik looked around the classroom. This has been the most educational lesson I have ever taught, he said. We have learned that predators come in many forms. The most successful ones are often the most adaptable. The students were still processing everything they had learned. The two humans sitting among them were apex predators from the most dangerous world in known space. But they were also kind, intelligent, and peaceful. For our next assignment, Professor Valek continued, I want each of you to work with a partner from a different species. Write a report about predator-prey relationships. Focus on how different hunting methods work in different environments. Crix raised one of his 4 hands. Professor, could I work with Taihio? I want to learn more about pack hunting and tool use. Of course, Professor Valek smiled. Ilara spoke up next. Could I work with G1? I am very interested in 3-dimensional hunting strategies. Excellent idea, the professor agreed. Other students began pairing up with each other. The fear that had filled the room at the beginning of class was completely gone. Now there was curiosity and excitement. Professor, said a student with gray, Fur, could we invite other classes to see these demonstrations? I was thinking the same thing, Professor Valek said. This information should be shared with the entire academy. Taihio felt overwhelmed by all the attention. He had just wanted to show his classmates that Earth animals were not all terrifying monsters. Instead, he had taught them about human evolution and adaptation. Taihio, Professor Valek said, would you and Jiwan be willing to present to other xenobiology classes? I think so, Taihio said, looking at Jiwan. We would be happy to. Jiwan agreed. As the class ended, students gathered around the two humans. Instead of staying away like they used to, they came closer with questions and comments. I never knew predators could be so intelligent, said one student. Your cat was amazing, said another. Crix clicked happily. My people hunt alone, but I want to learn about pack hunting. Could you teach me? We can share what we know, Taihio said. Alara approached more carefully. Taihio, I am sorry we were afraid of you before. You did not know, Taihio said kindly. Fear of the unknown is natural. But we should have tried to understand instead of just being scared. Ilara replied. Professor Valek was packing up his equipment. Students, before you leave, I want to say something important. Today we learned that different does not mean dangerous. We learned that the most powerful abilities often come from cooperation and understanding. He paused and looked at everyone. We also learned that the best way to overcome fear is through education. The students nodded. They had all felt the change in the room during the lesson. One more thing, Professor Valek added. I will be requesting permission to create a new course, Comparative Predator Studies. We will examine hunting and survival strategies from different worlds. The students became excited. Several raised their hands to volunteer. Can we help design the course? Asked Crix. Absolutely, Professor Valek said. This will be a collaborative effort. As students began to leave, Taihio carefully moved Bomi back to her travel container. She had been very patient during the long demonstration. Good job today, he whispered. To her, she purred and rubbed her head against his finger. Jiwan packed up her notes. That went better than I expected. Much better, Taihio agreed. Crix approached them as they prepared to leave. My friends, I have been thinking. If humans keep cats and dogs as companions, what other Earth animals might surprise us? Taihio and Jiwan looked at each other and smiled. Well, Jiwan said, there are horses. Humans ride on their backs. You ride on predators? Crix asked in amazement. Horses are not predators, Taihio explained. They eat plants, but they are very large and fast. So humans made friends with large plant eaters too. Crix clicked rapidly. And birds, Jiwan added. Some humans train birds to hunt with them. Crix's clicking became so fast, it sounded like buzzing. Humans have hunting partnerships with flying predators? Some do. Taihio nodded. As they walked toward the door, Other students joined the conversation. "What about sea creatures?" asked Elara. "Humans work with dolphins sometimes," Jiwan said. "Dolphins are very intelligent marine mammals. Work with them how?" Several students asked. "Dolphins help human fishers find fish," Taihio explained. "In return, humans share some of them." Catch, Professor Valek overheard this. "Fascinating. Interspecies cooperation for mutual benefit." The group had reached the hallway, but no one wanted the conversation to end. "Could we continue this discussion over lunch?" suggested a student with purple tentacles. "I would like that," Taihio said. 4. The first time since arriving at the academy, Taihio found himself surrounded by friendly classmates instead of fearful strangers. As they walked toward the dining hall, Elara flew alongside them. "Taihio, may I ask you something personal?" "Sure," Taihio said. "Are you afraid of us?" "I mean, some of us look very different from humans." Taihio thought about this. At first, yes. Everything here was new and strange. But then I realized that we're all just students like me. You want to learn and make friends, just like humans do. "Even though we come from such different worlds?" asked Crix. "Maybe because we come from different worlds," Jiwan said. "We all have different things to teach each other." Professor Valek was walking behind them, listening to the conversation. He smiled as he heard his students, all his students, from all their different worlds, talking and learning together. Later that day, Professor Valek sent a message to the Academy's administration. He requested permission to develop new courses about interspecies cooperation and comparative evolution. He also asked if human students could be invited to share their knowledge with more classes. Within a week, the Academy approved his requests. Within a month, 3 more human students had enrolled in xenobiology courses. Within a year, the Academy's first interspecies cooperation program was launched, with students from 15 different worlds working together on research projects. And it all started with a small orange and white cat named Omi, who showed a classroom full of alien students that the most successful predators are not always the most frightening ones. Sometimes the most dangerous creatures are the ones that choose to be gentle. Taihio often thought about that first day when he revealed Bomi to his classmates. He had been nervous about their reaction. He never expected that one simple demonstration would change how the entire Academy thought about humans and Earth. But perhaps that was the most human thing of all, taking something that seemed ordinary and using it to build bridges between different worlds. Bomi, of course, remained completely unaware of her role in galactic diplomacy. She was much more interested in finding sunny spots to nap in and playing with the small toy mice Taihio bought for her. After all, she was just a cat. But sometimes, being just something was exactly what the galaxy needed.